today it's about being in congruence, being in harmony with spirit, mind, and body. And it's always been interesting to me that we are in the world. We are in the world to live, to laugh, to express, to be who we are, to embrace our purpose, our calling, and others will be drawn through that magnetic energy when we love what we do and do what we love. There is no greater combination in life than that. So when we are, congruence is about being in agreement and being in harmony with spirit, mind, and body. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all good things are added unto you. Whatever you conceive that kingdom to be, whatever path, many pathways up the mountaintop, and the view is always the same from the summit, right? Always. We look out over the landscape of the living, breathing cosmos and energy field. And so what's always been interesting to me is that we at times compartmentalize. And I've heard people say when they've done something not exactly on point, well, that's business. So our spirituality is one thing, and this is business over here. So I can be like a little bit dishonest. That's business. But the truth is, every single one of us, we are about our Father, Mother, God's business. And everything flows out of that. Whatever path we're on, whatever religion, whatever spiritual essence that we are coming from, we are about a higher vibratory frequency. It's not just business. I had an experience a few years ago. I had longed to go to Findhorn. Findhorn is a beautiful place in the Highlands of Scotland. And it's known that when they planted roses, they were like huge. And all of the vegetables were huge, that they prayed over them, that this was a spiritual community, that people live on Findhorn. And I was speaking in Edinburgh, and my presentation was on world peace and the circle of life. And of course, my ground of being is, let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. With God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony, that we are together in this thing called life. And the peace that passes all understanding, which Jesus, who became the Christ, as his humanness gave way to the divine, said, my peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You believe in God, believe also in me. And what he was saying is, not the personality, Jesus of Nazareth. Believe in the Christ consciousness. That energy that goes before us and prepares the way as we become a lamp unto our own feet, drawing others into that energy field. So my peace I give to you. So after the conference, I was, I set it all up. It was going to take hours. I had to go, back to London to a special airport, and then take a bus and a train and you name it. Finally, after all day, I made it to Findhorn, and I had to take a bus and then a taxi. I mean, it went on and on. And there was like no one there. There's not like an information booth or anything there. So I just dragged my luggage along, and I saw, it said the art director. And I went in and I said, I'm Dr. Sharron Stroud from the United States, and I've come here to stay at Findhorn and experience this beautiful, beautiful energy. I'm staying at the Rose Cottage. And they were very busy, on the computer, and they were doing things. And they said, well, just a minute, please. And so, I'm standing there, and they're going through all of this paperwork. And I said, after about 15 minutes, I've had a really long day, and I would like to know where the Rose Cottage is. And they said, well, we're doing this right now. Just excuse me. Now, I have read books on Findhorn. I have, just embraced the energy of being in a spiritual community. And I'm really taken aback by their attitude. And so finally I said, for years I have wanted to be here. And it's taken me all day to get here. And I am absolutely stunned that you just cannot take a moment out and show me where the Rose Cottage is. And the ground of being is spirituality. And I'm not really sensing that here. I get it that your busyness, and remember, busy is a lower vibratory frequency. When we are feeling the joy of life, we're actively involved. So I never use the word busy. And they said, we are very busy. So that lowers the vibratory frequency. And I said, I am just absolutely stunned at your attitude. And I want you to know that. This was like the last thing I ever thought I would experience in a spiritual community. So if you'll just point the way, I'll drag my luggage through the mud because it had rained and find the Rose Cottage. And I found the Rose Cottage, and the proprietor said, oh yes, I've been expecting you. And she was, her energy felt very low. And so, I went to my room and I thought, wow, this is really an interesting experience. I'm experiencing the shadow side of Findhorn. And of course, whenever we put anything up on this great pedestal, is going to be so wonderful. We are setting ourselves up on one level for disappointment. However, this is the spiritual community around the world making a difference. And I had shared with the proprietor, her name was Lucy, what I experienced and how stunned I was. And she said, yes, she said, our energy has been really low this past couple of years. And people have moved out. But we do have a morning meditation, and we all join. And it was a wonderful circular little chapel. And so I made it a point to go to the chapel. And if you feel moved to do a spiritual prayer or a treatment or whatever, the space is created with beautiful music. There's lovely energy. And I spoke my word. I said, there is one life. That life is God's life. That is the life of Findhorn. And we breathe energy into the spiritual community, that everyone and anyone who comes within the energy of Findhorn is healed and uplifted in this cosmic energy. That which needs to be healed is healed. That which needs to be revealed is revealed. That which needs to be known is known. And that which needs to be released is released quickly, gently, and with grace. And I did my spiritual treatment. And as I did my spiritual treatment, energetically, I felt a light around everyone who was in the energy field. I felt a healing light. And I could see through the appearances, which was, it was amazing, very low energy. And we're putting on this art show. This is much more important than somebody that's traveled for days to get here. That was like the energy that I felt, right? And when I returned to the Rose Cottage, and I felt it was all a divine appointment. I was named after the Rose of Sharron. I am the Rose of Sharron and the lily of the valley. As the lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. And so this seemed very much a divine appointment. And there was a letter for me. And it was from the director of the art institute there at Findhorn. And he said, I want to deeply apologize for my behavior yesterday. I got so caught up in the doingness, I forgot the purpose of our beingness, of why we are here as spiritual beings. You brought it to my attention. I want to say I did. And I am forever grateful. Here are tickets to our beautiful art show that as an annual fundraiser. And please be our honored guest and come to, they were having like hors d'oeuvres and a gathering. Please come to the gathering, which I did. When I walked in that evening, so much love and so much graciousness. And I said, you know, I had been traveling, so I wasn't my most patient either. And I was just stunned that the reception. And out of that, and out of my speaking my word, that there is one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, that life is the life of Findhorn. Right here and right now, that those original energies arise triumphant and victorious. And the Katie's, Peter and his wife, they had founded Findhorn. And it was just so, the rest of the trip was magical for me as I walked down the beach and I felt the energy of this light, the light that penetrates the darkness, what? Comprehended that not, and shadows flee away forever. That yes, we all have a shadow side. Organizations have a shadow side. Countries have a shadow side. Nations have a shadow side. And it's up to us. Blessed are they who have eyes that see and ears that hear, that can hear the still small voice of God within us. Be still and know. And in this knowingness, we have the ability to see through the appearance that shows up. We have the ability to know the truth that sets us free, that we are all one, that the blood that courses through my veins is the same color of the blood that courses through your veins. So to be congruent in spirit, mind, and body is that we walk our talk, that we acknowledge that each and every one of us is the living Christ, the living Buddha, the holy I am presence, that when Moses looked into the burning bush and said, "Who are you? What are you?" the voice of I am answered and said, "Cast off your shoes, for where you stand is holy ground." That wherever we go on the planet is holy ground. That the blessing of our consciousness goes before us. And that what? We see through what is being expressed. And we're not all going to vibrate at the same frequency, are we? Not everyone is going to be our bosom buddy. However, that God in me celebrates that God in you. It salutes that divinity within you that moves beyond color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and oh yes, political affiliation. That we are one. This is our ground of being. And if we're not received, what did Jesus say to his disciples when they said, "Well, what if we knock on all these doors that you want us to go out and preach the gospel to all the world, and we're not received? Cast the dust from off thy feet and go thy way in peace." We're not always going to be received. Cast the dust. Cast that old energy from off your feet. The feet represent our understanding on the physical plane, right? And so cast that energy off thy feet and go thy way in peace. And that when we recognize the very thoughts that we think, and the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart are accepted and received because they are of a higher vibratory frequency. And I keep my thoughts in a high place. And when I keep my thoughts in a high place, what happens? We rise above it, don't we? We rise above the condition, the appearance, and whatever this effect is having on us, we rise above it. And we know that prayer is the most amazing energy on the universe, this most powerful energy in the universe. And that we can just silently say a prayer. And if things are going on, we can send out this energy of love and prayer, because we are the prayer that's praying itself, each and every one of us. So that, remember when Jesus went through the crowd and the woman thought, if I could just touch him, I'll be healed. She'd been suffering for 12 years. I could just be healed. And as he walked through the crowd, performing his miracles, she reached out and she missed him. But she touched the hem of his garment and was healed. And when she fell down to worship him and his goodness and mercy, he said, why callest thou me good? There is only one good, and that is God. But yet he was very clear that I and my Father are one, that we are all co-creators with this energy that we call God, that we are created in the image and likeness of God. And so we open to this, and the very lifeblood within us, the energy within us, is this God stuff, this energy. And when we understand this, and I have a friend, and he's always talking about how tired and fatigued, and he's has a ministry in Los Angeles, and that he does all of these memorial services and whatever. And I said, you know what? My work gives me energy because I love what I do and I do what I love. And when you approach it with this consciousness of fatigue, guess what? The energy goes even lower. Remember that when you say I am, whatever comes after that creates our reality. So we stand, Porter, at the gate of our conscious mind, addressing the universe in a way that we want to be addressed, to live and move and have our being in this consciousness of light. Knowing that as the shadow comes up, it flees away forever. And the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart are accepted and received. O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer, and I am redeemed every single day of my life as I open to the truth of my being. And that beingness, I'm in the world to express, to be who I am, to give my gift, to really embody my calling. But I'm of a higher spiritual vibratory frequency that I choose to call heaven on earth. There's a very fine line between heaven, which, is nirvana, right? And earth. And when we vibrate to that higher frequency, that heavenly frequency, we rise above it. In the ancient Hindu, they call it samsara, the daily round, that the fine line between the daily round samsara and nirvana is just a thought away, right? Because nirvana is the highest state that we can attain to in ancient Hindu religion, heaven on earth. And as we forgive, remember the first week, live in the now. The point of power is always in the present moment, that we live in the now. We don't need to bring up yesterday. Remember, yesterday is a canceled check. Tomorrow's a promissory note. Today is cash. We live in the present moment. And this is the only moment that we have. So to dredge up, in fact, the Bible states, any man putting his hand on the plow, right, going to move forward, and looking back is not fit for the kingdom of God. That my name is I am. It is not I was. I live in the now. My name is I am. My name is not I will be. I do not live in the future. I live in the now. My name is I am. When you live in the now, I am there. I am not in tomorrow. I am not in yesterday. My name is I am. I live in the now. So the very first week was on living in the now and remembering that there is only this now moment. And the second mystical law of life was about forgiveness, and that we must forgive. And I'm not saying that we don't learn and grow through these experiences, but we do not carry them around with us. There's an ancient legend about hunters that were out in the forest, And one hunter took his bow and his arrow, and he released the arrow, and it landed in the chest of one of the high priests. And he was stunned. And he said, "Find out who cast this arrow in my chest." And the high priest wanted to take it out and address the wound so it would heal. And he said, "No, we will not pull it out until we find out who released this arrow that landed in my chest." Well, guess what? By the time they found the young hunter that had released the arrow, the priest died. He was unwilling to take the arrow out and forgive the whole process and live. So we, at times, we have these arrows and they feel very wounding and they're in our heart, but we have to pull it out and learn the lesson and acknowledge that we're here to grow and unfold and expand and to learn from every arrow that is slung at us, and to raise up our hand and acknowledge that there is one life, that life is God's life, that life is our life, and that life is the life within each and every one of us. So forgiveness is a life lesson, isn't it? To truly let it go. And the third law was all is an illusion, that we cannot put our power into the outer world and give our power away. The reality is within us. That's being congruent in spirit, mind, and body, right? And divine synchronicity, the fourth mystical law of life, that nothing happens by chance, that everything is a divine appointment. And that as we receive it as a divine appointment, what? We are blessed by this energy through grace in perfect ways. And today, fifth mystical law, which is so absolutely wonderful, to acknowledge at the deepest level that we are congruent in spirit, mind, and body. And that makes all the difference. So the archetype that we embody is the ruler, that we have self-rule. It's really about self-rule, self-discipline. So when things occur that come into our energy field, yes, the human condition is that we grieve our losses, we have reactions. That's part of the human condition. And then we raise ourselves up. And as we raise ourselves up, as the phoenix rising from burnt offerings, triumphant and victorious, as we raise ourselves up, we have perspective, we have energy, and we have life. And that makes all the difference. So we're all going somewhere. And do you know where that is? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Because I am in a high place and I will not come down. None of these outer things move me. I am in a high place and I will not come down. I say to you, namaste. The divinity within me salutes the divinity within you. And the divinity within you salutes the divinity within me. And if I am in that place in me and you are in that place in you, there truly is only one of us. And I say, shalom, the peace that passes all understanding. And God bless us, every single one. It's a joy to be with you this morning. It's a joy to reach through this eye of the camera, remembering the eye in which I see God is the same eye in which God sees me. We are one. And so